but as soon as the Chaebol lady stepped into the room, it was like a wave of heat hit her as she flicked on the lights. The imagined shouting never materialized, even when faced with her uncle's explanation. She just shot back a response so clear that it was practically neon, yet her uncle just wouldn't drop it. Who knew the Chaebol lady didn't answer directly? She was just angry at their lack of decorum, with reporters outside waiting for the show. To her uncle, it was vital, sure, but now was not the time for explanations, especially since the dinner had transitioned into the dance-off. Faced with her husband's grimy hand, she grabbed it without hesitation as onlookers cast envious glances, both grinning into the dance room. He kicked off their model couple's sweet dance, but just as the dinner wrapped up, the Chaebol lady rang the doorbell to her mother-in-law. As expected, the one who opened the door was her brother-in-law's wife, but it was clear from their stances who was in charge when facing the chairwoman. Just the two of them left in the room. Wang-Su dropped the pretenses and headed straight for the bar to pour herself a drink, infuriating her mother-in-law, who promptly threw a newspaper at her. Wang-Su quickly retaliated, hurling not only her glass but all bar cups. No doubt, the uncle had been sent by the mother-in-law to stir the pot with the eldest son, hoping Wang-Su would catch on and ask for a divorce. At that point, she could take full control of the Hyunwoo group based on their prenup, since the former chairperson left her the most valuable assets before passing. Now, even if the mother-in-law wanted to scrape a penny from the group, she'd have to get Wang-Su's permission. But behind closed doors, Wang-Su was drumming her sorrows in booze. She dismissed all bodyguards, but as she passed out from drinking, new bodyguard directors suddenly appeared. Given their status differences, Wang-Su didn't want him getting too close, but as she stepped into the elevator, the bodyguard had no plans to follow her. The elevator door closed, then Wang-Su pressed to reopen it, inviting him up. The bodyguard had no choice but to follow reluctantly. She followed far behind to the door, deliberate or drunk. No one knew. Seeking the room card, she accidentally scattered everything. The sturdy bodyguard had to lean her against the wall to pick it up. Out of nowhere, Wang-Su suddenly yelled in frustration. Seeing that the bodyguard was unmoved, she had to extend another invitation. Yet, the bodyguard remained clueless. Wang-Su, frustrated, entered the room stumbling as if to fall, a comical scene. She managed to trick him into the room, but the room key was left outside. Meanwhile, Wang-Su's husband was growing increasingly furious, ready to knock on the door. At that moment, the bodyguard leaned Wang-Su against the wall, and their eyes met, causing the temperature in the room to rise steadily. Just when the temperature was about to hit boiling point, her husband randomly started knocking on the door. Luckily, their clothes were still somewhat, but as the bodyguard was about to open the door, Wang-Su yanked him back instinctively. She hoped he'd stay quiet, but he quickly noticed the keycard on the ground. As he bent to pick it up, the bodyguard leader suddenly appeared. While picking up the keycard, he stood at the door as if he were in the script, determined to block her husband from entering. Seeing the vice chairman leave, she slid the keycard through the door, unsure if she'd noticed the secret. The scene shifts to Wang-Su in her pajamas sitting on the bed while the bodyguard stepped out of the room. However, her clothes remained neat, with no mess. What happened between them? I've no idea. While the bed looked a tad rumpled, it wasn't a complete disaster, leaving a lot to the imagination. The truth is up for the viewers to speculate. The next day, they prepared to head back to Korea, with Wang-Su and the bodyguard barely exchanging a word. No glance exchanged. The Grand Palace, atop in forces, sits on hillsides, over 10 minutes drive away. But for new bodyguard Di-yoon, the captain had him bunking in the nearest basement to the stairs and assigned him as Wang-Su's personal guard. It's anyone's guess if it was planned or just luck, but while tidying up, Di-yoon accidentally dropped a picture frame revealing a hidden memory card. At that moment, he remembered his dying friend's 2 words, photos. Could this be the reason his friend got whacked? He eagerly inserted the memory card into his computer. Surprisingly, there were only 3 videos. He opened one, and it was the Grand Palace's surveillance footage. As the video played, a man appeared. Turns out it was the former chairperson, Kim Dong. Their acquaintance began with an assassination. The enforcement lady was shopping in a luxury store when a sniper targeted her upon exit. Poor lady, she barely made it a few seconds before disaster struck. Thankfully, her bodyguard was fast on his feet, protecting her and clearing a valuable path for our hero. At that moment, the fountain in the plaza erupted, perfectly obscuring the sniper's line of sight. Once the fountain finished, the hero finally arrived. Let's not even get into why he was there, with a failed hit now on their hands. The assassin used a machine gun, aiming to ignite spilled gas to eliminate the enforcement lady. However, his scheme was interrupted by the hero, who snatched the lady and sprinted for the car just as the fountain shot up again. To be a top enforcer, you need solid skills, so they escaped danger and drove to vast fields. The enforcement lady, now calmed down, finally voiced her burning question, but just as the hero was about to reply, the car engine suddenly. The hero had to pull over at a spot with a better view, but the moment he stepped out, she hit him with another question. No one would believe such an excuse, yet he had no choice but to pretend to. Fortunately, he was able to repair the car in no time. He even ripped a tracker off the engine, giving the hero a perfect excuse. But the enforcement lady's no fool. He quickly tested her by asking to borrow her phone. After hearing he wanted to use her phone to call the cops, the hero dismissed her reasoning, and they headed to his place, which turned out to be nothing like her expectations. Instead of being an abandoned wreck, it was a solid neighborhood, and the layout was just like an ordinary home. The shock,